When you see the
Yeah,
clock
live.
ticking, off you go.
Right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to the latest edition of Mauls, Balls, and All. Joining me, I think this could be our first international broadcast, seeing as I live overseas a little bit. Anyway, we've got joining us this evening Peter Burke, the usual, Mr. Peter
How are you?
Martin, and Jay Head from Dublin, a Leinster
No,
and
he's not from
Ireland
Dublin. He's
supporter with a different accent. But how as ever, he'll be grand. And
I'll blend.
I know we also have Richard Holland joining us. Good evening, Rich.
Greeting, folks.
Good evening, everybody.
good evening.
And so we'll probably just get straight into it. I have a couple of things I want to just talk about. I think the first thing we'll do, I wanted to talk about was Ross Maloney's impending change to Bath for next season and the impact of Irish players leaving our shores and, in my opinion, almost mercenaries coming to play here from South Africa or wherever. So I was just wondering what everybody else's opinion on is. I'm going to go to Jay first, seeing as you're our guest this evening, and see what you reckon about this.
I think Ross's going over to Bath is a little bit frustrating for everybody because he must feel frustrated having never been progressed in the Irish team and always been a bit player for Leinster. Great player for Leinster, but he's not. He seems to be called up and his progression in the Irish squad. And I think if he's given that opportunity to go away and develop over there, I think that's the reason behind it. It's because when the Irish players come back, is he going to be a bit part player again? Is he going to get the experience? I mean, that's the reason why I think so. It's a personal thing for Ross rather than a financial situation, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I personally don't have any problem with Ross as in or individuals doing this to progress their career or to continue their career even. It's only just the issue I have is people like Snyman is basically taking his place, is he not, at Leinster? So he probably feels he's not going to get a game time there. So
yeah,
that's
logically how if you could see somebody else coming in and you're thinking to yourself, I need game time, I need match time. If I want to develop as a player and become an international, which he can be, so he can walk straight into the Irish squad straight away, no issue. But he's not being given the chance.
Yeah. Well, it's happening now anyway, and personally, it's not something I'm in favour of either. Snyman, John Klein, or Kitsoff. As far as I'm concerned, they're taking Irish players' shirts, playing in Ireland, and it's not progressing the Irish game as such. I mean, don't get me wrong. Those kind of players were needed in the past, but we don't need them anymore. Because there was a shortage of players in Ireland.
You've got to think also of the new, shall we say, coaching. South African coaches come in, bringing in a South African player. One of the weaknesses that Leinster had in Europe was obviously their strength and their power and their aggression. Now that's noticeably changed this year, and also for Leinster and for Ireland, that there's more of an aggressive forward approach. So with Snyman coming in, that is, I think, a beneficial. Is Ross aggressive enough to be developed? And I don't know, but obviously Snyman's coming in for that aggression. It's like Jason Jenkins, another person who a go-to guy for those certain matches. But obviously, young McCarthy's doing fantastic. He'd rip the head off a bloody Doberman, he would. So we know where he's going. He's a great, best player of the tournament so far, the Six Nations.
Yeah. Is it possibly going to hold up the progression of players like is it O'Tiernig, the guy who played in the 20s last year? He's a Leinster boy, isn't he?
Yeah.
So is it going to stunt his possibility of getting into a Leinster side? Players like Snyman.
Well, last week at Cardiff, you could see that most of the bench with the players coming through. It's like at the moment, Leinster, unfortunately for the other counties, it's a machine. There's just another one to step into the row. As soon as one goes, another one comes in, and we're very, very lucky to have that opportunity and players development coming through. I mean, it's amazing to watch those young players like Tommy Osborne last week, and a couple of wingers. It's just amazing to see what the development what's coming through, and hopefully the team in red, they will also have that development coming through. So I'm pleased that that's to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
With Peter Burke, don't mention the war.
Well, you can mention something now, Peter Burke. What do you reckon on this?
I think Ross Maloney is a victim of the Joe McCarthy success. I think Ross Maloney wants to play Test rugby. He's 29 years of age. He's 160 caps or something for Leinster. He's never played for the senior squad. He's played for the under-20s. I think he was capped 10 times for the under-20s. I think he had one cap for the Wolfhounds.
Yeah.
But I think he is one of the best jacklers. I think he's great in the maul and the ruck. But, you know, as Jay said, he just hasn't been given his chance. You know, I think the last time he got it within sniffing distance of the national squad, senior squad, was in 2021 when he was called up for the summer tests. But he, again, didn't run onto the pitch. But the argument was, and it was mentioned in the group, that, well, why didn't he go to another Irish province? It wouldn't have mattered. The reason he didn't go to another Irish province, in my view, and I think I'm right in saying this, is that he wants to play Test level rugby. And if he goes to Bath, he is automatically qualified to play for England.
Well, I didn't.
And
how is that, by the way? How is he?
He's heritage. I don't know.
Oh, right.
Heritage.
Right.
Yeah,
okay. I didn't realize that. That's fair enough then. Yeah.
His grandmother has a fucking English bulldog or something, or Marks and Spencer
okay.
knickers or something like that. I don't fucking know. But anyway, whatever way these things are decided, but he's automatically qualified for England 20, and he'll be an asset to any squad he goes into, be it club, provincial, or Test level. And I wish him well. He's 29 years of age, and if you remember, Mike, well, and all of us will, when we had Victor Costello on here and Alex Soroka, they both kind of alluded to the thing. Well, Victor was more direct in what he said, that you've got to decide at some stage your next career level, and you run at most rugby players run out of time, with the exception of Dan Cole and Joe Marler. But most rugby players run out of time by their early 30s as to what they're going to do next. And if you're not getting where you want to be by that age, you got to just, you know, cut your losses and move on. And that's all.
Frawley alluded to that today, obviously earlier on today, because he could have played for Australia. He was that close to playing for Australia.
That's not going to happen now, obviously.
No.
So, how about you, Peter Martin? What do you reckon about this?
No sound, Pete.
Yeah, you must be you must have
Pete, your microphone's off.
No, still can't hear you.
No. Move on, Richard.
Right,
Richard Holland.
How about Richard Holland then? What's your opinion on this, Mama?
It's quite simple, really. What is it? A professional rugby player, what does he get? 10, 13, maybe 13 years playing a professional level. So,
yeah,
Ross Bonnelly has to do what's good for Ross Bonnelly at this stage. As Peter said, he's 29. The amount of players that are in front of him at this stage means he's very highly unlikely to ever get an Irish cap. And look, fair play to the boy. If he wants to go and do it, let him do it. Because, as we said, he might get 20, 25 caps for England, and he is a good player. There's no doubt. He's an excellent player.
I think
he's attritional. He can, you know, he can play, he can pass, he can do just about everything. So yeah, if the move is right for him, then yeah, absolutely, he should go and do it.
I mean, personally, I don't have any problem with him making the decision to go. I think if it's good for his career, fine. It's the having been replaced by what I call mercenaries is the problem I have. I don't think they should even be playing in Ireland, any of them, personally, right now, because I don't think they're making enough of a. I mean, for instance, Snyman, he's only played. Has he played 5, 6 games for Munster in 3 years? and he's played every game.
Yeah.
And he's played every game for South Africa and the same.
There's more to that than meets the eye, because he made a miraculous recovery for the World Cup and then suddenly came back to Munster and suddenly was injured a long time. And once he made the transition and everyone knew he was signing, he's managed to play 4 or 5 games and get himself back into it.
And it's also
Is he
the
there
same
for the
applies
dough?
to John Klein.
Kind of a thing.
If South Africa were playing in the morning, would John Klein be available to play for him?
Mike, sorry to cut across. Just there's a couple of comments there from the viewers. Leinster are producing too many academy players, and some lads have to be unlucky enough to get sent outside the pale to the wild provinces. I'd say we'll see one of the Byrne brothers starting to drink iron brew in the hope of declaring Scotland and being apprentice to rugby's Messi that has Dara Weston all over it.
Well, I saw
exactly who it is. Exactly.
I saw Harry Byrne last week already with the tram lines in the back.
Yeah, there you go.
He came off, he was doing the...
Dennis Brosnan on YouTube. Think if Maloney had a chance with the national squad, he'd have probably stayed, but he's never been in with a sniff. Good player, but we are packed in that position. That viewer is quite right. Right, there you go, Mike.
Okay. Peter Martin, actually, you've come back in here. Are you all sounded up now and ready to go?
9.
No,
Peter
it
Martin.
doesn't sound like you are either. No, Peter. I don't know what's going on with your.
No, we can't hear you, Pete.
Sound system tonight.
Was Brosnan at his laptop?
I don't know.
Oh, the Healy Rays.
I think it's that Enoch Burke, by the way, has been peddling something which.
Go on, Mike. We'll move on to something else.
Right, we'll move on. We'll move on to something to another topic. Our ladies, the ladies team, our women's team, have been almost guaranteed by the IRFU or it's more by the television companies to have free to view all their games over the next couple of competitions. I think it's a great thing for the women's rugby, and it's time somebody got on board and help them out. So what's your opinion, Richard Holland, on this?
Absolutely. Look, I've always been one to say that they should get equal billing to the men. They play the same game, the game that we both love, that we all love. It's high time, and they were fucked over by the ARFU 5 years ago, whatever it was, and it's unfortunately probably set the women's game back in Ireland professionally 10 years, if not more. No, but it's great to see that the exposure is good. There is a drive at the moment, I know, with various government powers and whatnot. We're not getting political about it, but to keep women active in sport, wants to go above the age of 15. It's vitally important. And I think rugby, and to a certain extent soccer and GAA as well. I know dirty words to you, Peter, but it's needed. It's needed. It's needed in the country as a nation to grow women's games here in Ireland.
Women's sport over across the water, like in England, is very well supported. I think in especially in football and even in rugby terms. So,
but unfortunately, over here in the UK, the clubs, the national clubs, the big clubs, are actually pumping and ploughing money and supporting to it, and the English FA. That's not been the case with the Irish FA. In fact, they've overlooked women's sport completely. And it's only now that they're catching up. And then you have a scenario when the women manage to achieve the unbelievable and get to a World Cup. And then they're castigated for the celebrations. And that just defeats the whole object. They win, they get somewhere. Let's move on from that. Let's not castigate the girls. Let's be proud of our girls getting where they are and support them financially and with, media support as well.
Yeah, very true, Jay. Sorry, Mike, there's another comment there. There's loads of comments coming in, actually. Mike, have an Irish province won a Heineken Cup without foreign players? Possibly Ulster might have, but Munster and Leinster had foreign blood in their squads, so there is a place for these mercenaries in the provincial setup. let's not forget the experience these lads can bring to the younger players. That's a fair point, Mike. I know where
It
you're
is.
coming from with the mercenaries. Yeah.
No. I listen. I did stipulate this. We did need them in the past, but do we need them now? That's my point. Like, I
Well,
mean,
the answer to that is yes.
Us,
yes, there is, because obviously Leinster were grasping for the 2 times at the Heineken Cup final. They have not been aggressive enough to go against the La Rochelle pack. Now we've seen already from the first opening Heineken Cup game, they are aggressive enough to go against the pack with players brought in. So whether it be a different coaching system or a different way of analytically thinking or the aggression, even, we've needed those players and they bring something special. They're a trophy player they bring in. The big, it's only 1 or 2 at Leinster. Maybe
what
3
do
or
they call
4
it? The marquee players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get all that, but I'm just concerned that they're taking the place, and there's an Irish player now being driven out of the country, basically, to make an allocation for.
He's not been driven out of the country.
I wouldn't say he's been driven out, but
he's not been driven out.
Fucking 6 there, beating him. Go.
No.
Oh, but no. I think the reason he is leaving is the emergence of Joe McCarthy.
Probably.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe,
yeah.
Hold on. Is Peter Martin working?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yay!
Right, Peter Martin. Let's have your opinion on Ross Maloney now that you're here.
Right, I've been clearing my throat for the last 5 minutes while I'm fixing this fucking microphone.
Okay.
Situation. What I was going to say was, as regards what the scenario of Ross Maloney is, obviously what you've said already. He's 29 years of age. He's been banging on the door for years with that with the Irish squad. The issue as well is, and you've already covered this, that he doesn't bring anything different to this. He doesn't bring that overt physicality, that grunt, that absolute bollock in the scrum, in the maul. He doesn't bring that. What he does bring is he's a fantastic line-out leader. He's an organizer. He's a captain. He's all those things, but it's not something that Ireland need. We have something like that already.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say as well is that Bath are getting a heck of a player. I would go so far as to say that Maloney outside is probably Leinster's greatest uncapped player.
He's very right up there anyway.
That's a good player, I think he is.
Okay, I want to throw a question, obviously, to Pete Burke. Last 5 minutes of the final, your Heineken Cup final, who would you bring on? Ross Maloney or Simon? Against La Rochelle in the final 5 minutes to close out the game.
Snyman.
You've answered your own question then.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Sorry, Mike. Just a very interesting comment there came in. I'm definitely looking forward to a women's Lions tour, which is happening. High time that the Lions Blazers in charge got the equality team. Now, the question you asked, Mike, was about the women's promotion. But if you were to pick a women's Lions team in the morning, 99% of them will be the English Roses.
Absolutely,
that's
hands down. But they're way ahead of the rest of them.
But again, that goes back to what I said a few minutes ago, that the IRFU basically they fucked over the women. There's no other way to describe it for a decade.
Yeah, we
when the Irish women were winning back-to-back Grand Slams, they were given nothing. They were made when COVID, they were made change behind the fucking in a fucking tent at the back of the ground.
Yeah, embarrassing.
Yeah, it's it's not good enough, and it's something that needs to be highlighted, and we should continue to highlight it because they're still getting short shrift. They're offered contracts that, what was it, 10 or 12,000 euros a year? It's something just not good enough.
Paltry you couldn't live on anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's moving the women's game forward, because 30 years ago, how many Irish players in the British and Irish Lions?
Well,
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
No, we always had a few.
Probably 3.
No, we had well, 30, 40 years ago, we had more than that.
30 years ago was 1997 approximately.
Yeah,
we were fucking.
So you had Keith Wood, Paul Wallace, Eric Miller, Jeremy Davidson.
I was thinking 30 years
Wood.
ago was 1980. Was 1980.
so look how far the men's team has come forward in 30 years to actually virtually the Lions starting 15.
Yeah.
Let's give those women 30 years and see how many. The same question you asked earlier: how many Irish women would be in that starting in squad? That's what it is: investment and development. I mean, the women have got an opportunity now. It's down to the Irish rugby associations to support them and back our girls.
Yeah.
Just on that, there was someone that they think your Dan Coles is on with us tonight. So
thank you, Louise.
Oh, is that Louise? Is it? All right. Okay.
Yeah, Louise,
that's Louise.
By the way, if we're talking about women's rugby, I have to say I met Bevan Parsons in person, and she is a stunningly beautiful woman. That's all I'd say about that. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
and a great player.
You take her word for that. Yeah, she's a fabulous player. Right. Have you any opinion on this, Peter Martin? Then you missed this on women's on the women's the fact that they're going to be covered by televised games on free to view television in Ireland.
No, I think look, it's all positive. Everything's going in the right direction in the last 12, 18 months. Remember, we had Greg McWilliams on here, and he gave his side on how things were basically going in the right direction. He felt inside the IRFU, despite the fact he found himself out of a job. Look, we're past rock bottom as regards the women's game. Fingers crossed. Here, and I think the only way is up. Yeah. So just as what Jay said, like, you know, give another 20 years or so and to see where how many Irish girls are on the Lionesses tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Ulster today. Have announced that three players have re-signed for the next. I don't know. I don't know quite exactly how long they've signed for, but they've re-signed anyway to play. We've got James Hume and Tom O'Toole and Sean Raphael. And I mean, do we think Ulster are heading back? Starting to head back in the right direction, maybe make a slight recovery. It was all doom and gloom a couple of weeks ago. Now they've got a new manager in place. Well, even though it's temporary, maybe, and now they have some players like re-signing. So, Mr. Burke, what do you think about this?
That is fucking fantastic for Ulster with those three players. Brilliant. But why don't we wait and fucking see who's going to fucking leave? Don't forget.
Billy Burns.
He's
Munster. They'll get a Munster.
Munster will get him, yeah, but he's fucking shite. He's like fucking Finn Russell. He has one.
Is that a problem?
Game.
I'm over the moon if he goes to Munster with his 50 pence feet. He can go all over the place.
Couldn't give a flying fuck, Jay, where he goes. Right, he can go to the fucking local shops and buy a bag of crisps for all I fucking care. But no, it's great. Yeah, okay. Those three. I never sit in the fence, Mike. You know that. those three players that are staying at Ulster, great. But let's see who's going to leave. And I suspect, as Peter Martin mentioned last week, this was mentioned, their debt is 900 million quid. Still not up there with what Munster's is, what they owe for Thomond Park. But we shall see who. That's the key question for me, is who's leaving. Billy Burns, not really a loss. I suspect there will be a bit of rotation. I think Mr. Humphreys or Nusafor or whoever will make sure that Ulster get a 10 and one or two other players, maybe in there. So, brilliant for Ulster. They're still not going to win anything substantial in the next 3, 4, 5 years. They're just not competitive. They're not consistent. I don't think Richie Murphy, he will do some initial good stuff. Richie Murphy is a good coach, by the way, but they just don't have the resources, the players behind them to do anything well.
They have a good academy, though. They have a good academy, and there's a lot of players that can come through that academy.
Yeah, but I mean, they can't hold on to them. This is the problem. Ulster have money issues. That's the problem, Jay. They can't look. If fucking Toulouse said to Ulster, "We'll take your man, fucking whoever, Stewart off your hands from the academy. We'll give you, 100 grand, 80 grand, 50 grand, whatever it is, and then a retainer, blah blah blah." Ulster their hand will be forced on this. This is the problem. They don't have the resources to do it. It's a vicious circle. It's a vicious circle at the moment. It can be solved, but we shall wait and see.
Okay, what do you reckon, Richard Holland, on this?
Well, my father's an Ulster man, so they're kind of like a second team to me. I like to see him do well. I actually do, but yeah. It's under McFarland, they've regressed. They've gone from getting to a Heineken Cup final, or be it unluckily beaten. That red card with Payne, whatever. That's in the past now, but they've gone backwards. They have potentially the most exciting back three in Europe, and they don't use them because under McFarland, everything was through the pack, out to Burns, kick it away. That was pretty much the Ulster game. Hopefully, now it's whoever goes into it, be it Richard Murphy on a full-time basis or whoever gets the job, it's going to be it's a complete restructure. Basically, it's 4, maybe 5 years before we see that now of Ulster of any great thing again. I'll be honest with you, but I think they will come back again. As Peter alluded to, money is an issue there as well. We know that, but. They'll be back. They'll definitely be back.
Are we under? I mean, is there any pressure in all of Ireland, like as far as finance is concerned? I mean, you've spoken about Ulster and Munster having financial issues. I haven't heard really that Munster are in any kind of financial difficulty, but it's certainly been raised that Ulster are currently, and there's some concern about it.
It's Mike. With Munster. With Munster is the debt atonement. That's the thing around their neck at the moment.
It's a legacy debt, Mike.
Yes,
to the IRFU from the Thomond Park redevelopment. That's what that is.
If you're interested, Mike, you could log on to the IRFU website and look up their figures,
right?
Their accounts for 2022.
And
it'll give you the details as regards, the financial arrangement that Munster have. They're making there's an arrangement with the IRFU as regards the repayment of the debt, and part of it is, I think it's got to do with the renaming of the stadium and all this kind of stuff. There's a commercial arrangement there to manage the debt, and it's sustainable. That's basically what it says, broadly speaking, in the accounts.
And so now we have Connacht going to redevelop the sports ground. So I assume that something similar is going to happen with their situation then.
You'd imagine so, yeah.
There is an arrangement. There is proper arrangement is there. It's very, very well managed. As regards the development plan and everything is there's a lot of due diligence was done. Like I would say, Irish rugby is in a very good place because there's a lot of due diligence has been done as regards financial arrangements, as regards the debts that are various different debts that are there. Like it was 60 million was the cost to run professional rugby on the back in 2022.
Right. That's an annual figure. That's annual
figure, 60 million.
Well, see, that would tell you the reasoning behind what they are doing, like as regards selling tickets for your like corporate tickets and all that, like because that finance has to come from somewhere. That money has to be raised somehow.
Yeah, it does. There's you can't skirt around from that issue. That professional sport is an expensive business. You're in competition for sponsors and interest from other sports, and they have to use it by any means necessary. Granted, we're seeing perhaps the bad end of it insofar as, like, you go to the Aviva Stadium and the atmosphere is terrible. There's just no sense of a real kind of atmosphere. Back in the day when Ireland were rubbish, and I went as a young fella, the atmosphere was great crack. The Mexican way would start in the West Stand, and the howls and boos if the lads, the chaps with their hip flasks wouldn't get up and do it. Like, it was great crack. They just need to basically be a little bit creative, and get something going. Like, I think there is good people in the IRFU capable people who'd be able to manage that. Like, it was a great kind of, I suppose, PR stunt as much as anything else, getting that kid from Kilkenny to sing the national anthem.
Oh yeah,
straight out of nowhere.
I actually saw him. I saw him on another video today on, I think it was on our page, in fact, singing that Zombie.
Yeah.
At some function. He was absolutely outstanding.
He was in a radio station. There's another. Sorry, Mike. Another comment. Ulster need a fairy godmother like Dennis O'Brien has been for Leinster in the past, and JP McManus has been for Munster in the past. Even Pac McDonough. Make sure Bundy gets free chips and Supermax. There you go.
Rory McIlroy is a backer.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He is.
I think he's bigger than a lot of the guys mentioned there, finance-wise.
He could do it chucking another bit of dough.
You never know.
I think the RFU are actually sitting quite smugly and smilingly, looking across the pond over here and seeing the standard of what's happened to the Welsh rugby, and obviously seeing three major clubs in the Premiership like London Irish, Worcester, and obviously Wasps, and they're realising that they've got to curtail and clip their wings and the finances and make sure they aren't overspending. And that's one thing that is very good of the RFU, to make sure that the four counties are still financially secure and not running into debt. Obviously, everyone in this financial situation in the world is all struggling, but to see, can you imagine if one of the counties just went off?
Well, it nearly happened, about 20 years ago with Connacht. There was serious thought about folding up Connacht.
Yeah,
it was on the cards, I think, and I think there was a groundswell of support down in Galway and down in Connacht that was the only thing that saved them. It was more or less a done deal.
That was the time, Richard, that James Grennan nearly had a fucking stroke.
That's right. Yeah.
I'd say James Grennan almost had to pull on the jersey back in that day.
Oh, he was standing on the cliffs of Moher. He was going, Jesus Christ, lads, I can't be dealing with this.
Look at the money thrown at Wasps and obviously the London Irish.
Well, the problem with the English game is basically you had 10 or 12 rich millionaires, whatever you want to call them. They came in and they used the clubs as a plaything, and when they were tired with them, all right, grand, away you go.
Yeah. That was quite evident in France as well, Richard. Now,
yes.
So.
Listen, the business model. I mean, the Irish business model of rugby, of the IRFU, is the envy of most countries in the world now, and I know that for a fact, living here in Scotland, that there's the absolute envy that how successful they are and the way it's managed through every stage. And I know that New Zealand have looked, and England are even looking now at the way. They're jealous of the way the IRFU have control over the players, the centrally contracted players.
But Mike, our system is based on the New Zealand system.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But New Zealand are wanting to kind of reshuffle what they have done now, I think, aren't they? The
biggest problem New Zealand have is that they sold their souls to this hedge fund. What was it, Silver Lake or something?
Yeah.
In the US, that Silver Lake thing is in the shit now. So that's why they're.
Yeah.
And that's why there's an extent why there's a load of All Blacks have gone to Japan for money.
Mm.
Oh, and by the way, lads, the All Blacks appearance fee has gone up to $3.5 million.
You know, there's nobody going to be indulging in that. I don't see anybody indulging in that.
No. Mike, I mean that if New Zealand play Ireland in the Aviva, the IRFU pay New Zealand rugby.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think I can't see the IRFU succumbing to that kind of fucking demand. I can't, and I don't think they should either.
No,
that's outrageous.
They'll sell out. They'll get their beer money. They'll get their food money. The pubs, the local economy will get their money. So there's an argument for, and it's an argument against. Obviously, yeah.
They will make back that $3.5 million in spades.
If there's if it's financially viable, then by all means. But if it's not, then if you're putting the noose around your own neck just to bring the All Blacks, you can't. I wouldn't be in favour of it certainly. But if you can recoup.
No, but I'd say, Mike, sorry to interrupt, but then I'd say Mike, Jay, Pete, Richard, the allure of the All Blacks coming to the Aviva and us playing them isn't the same as it was. You know, we've beaten them.
Since we've beaten them,
they want to play us now more than we want to play them.
Probably.
Right. Well, we'll move on to something else. I think it's time we dealt with the games of last weekend, the URC games. So we had on Friday night, Munster beat Zebra 45-29, bonus point win. Peter Parker, go to you. Did you see that game by any chance?
Sorry, I was looking at the sorry, say that again, Mike. What game?
I'm
distracted by the message.
Is there a message? You want to read the message first?
No. Who are Munster playing?
Munster played Zebra in Cork. 45-29.
I saw bits of it. Yeah,
bonus point win.
Yeah, shite. Yeah, great. Yeah, well done, Munster. Yeah, come on.
Okay, how about you, Jay?
Sorry, go on.
Game?
No, I saw it.
I saw the highlights. Obviously, I had a few beers because I was in Cardiff that evening, so it was.
Of course.
So waiting for the Saturday game, but I did see the highlights in the morning. It was to be expected.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much comfortable enough. I didn't imagine they were going to have any major issues other than that's the way it turned out. Although I know that that Zebra made a bit of a fight back in the second half, getting a bonus point, a losing bonus point themselves. So I suppose. Richard Holland, Munster man, what did you reckon about this?
Look, the game was over at half time. 5 tries on the board at 40 minutes, so they were never going to lose it. And I guess they just kind of took their foot off the gas a small bit and let Zebra get their was a try scoring bonus point, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So look, it was a game they were never going to lose, and it is what it is now. They were always going to win it.
Yeah, fair. That's fair enough. How about you, Peter Martin? Did you manage to get a look at that game?
Yeah, I was watching it. Yeah, look, Munster did what they had to do. I suppose Roundtree might be a little bit fed up with the way that they kind of took their foot off the gas. Munster did and let Zebra in for a few tries. Now, to give Zebra their credit, they don't give up. They go the full 80 minutes. So, credit to them for that. But again, I'd say Roundtree will be picking apart some of those tries and saying if they let in 4 tries, they said, well, we could have stopped 2 of them, kind of thing. Mike Haley got man of the match. Good for him. I thought Shane Daly played well as well. There was a very good try that they scored. I can't remember, was it Daly scored, and it looked like they almost butchered it, but they actually managed to. They stuck with the process, and I was actually very impressed with it. I think it was Shane Daly got it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very. I thought that was a very impressive phase of play because it looked like they made an absolute fucking hames of it, and they managed to. They basically kept their composure, put it, took it into contact, recycled it, and put it through the hands, and they scored. So that was, that was a positive thing to say. But apart from that, look, good run out for some of the players. Young Ruan Quinn got a good nick off the off an absolute batshit decision to run an over the top line out.
Yeah.
And they won't be doing that again in a rush. Yeah, look,
Frisch
nothing
was
else to say.
good as well, I thought.
Who?
Frisch, Anton Frisch.
Yeah.
He's a very consistent player.
Yeah.
Right, I'll go. Right, Connacht 26, Scarlets 10. Another bonus point win for Connacht. Peter Martin will continue with you there if you want to. Did you see that game at all?
No, I didn't see it.
How about you, Richard? Did you manage to get any of that game?
No, I was working. I didn't see it.
Jay?
Yes, I did again. Saw the highlights and actually picked up some of the comments from the Cardiff supporters as well. Again, it's the Welsh, unfortunately, gasp of how far they've dropped, where they're now being trounced by on a regular basis their clubs. I think that between the four clubs, I think they're struggling to get 5 wins between them this season. That's how low Wales have actually dropped. And that, but on the positive side, again, their academies and the players that they're bringing through. Let's hope that they get the financial support that they require, because there's a big gulf between the classes now, and I fear for the Welsh rugby if they don't get their act together.
It does seem to have taken a major nosedive. Even season on season, it seems to be getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, Scarlets kind of held the fort for them there and Ospreys, but even them now are kind of struggling to. It looks like Cardiff are the team now that are kind of holding their own slightly, but it does look like dire times. And you know, the irony is when players put on the red shirt to play for Wales, then they're able to bring some kind of a game out of the hat. You know, pull a rabbit out of the hat as such, and almost overachieve. I don't know, but the club sides aren't really doing very well at all, are they?
No.
I can't think of in Europe. That's the other success. Can anyone think of a successful Welsh team in the last 5 years in Europe, as in clubs?
No.
No.
No success whatsoever.
But the problem is they haven't got the money now.
No,
that's
the worrying thing for them.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Peter Burke, did you manage to see any of that Connacht game?
Yes, I did.
What did you reckon?
Look, gentlemen, if we look at this, Jay said it, Peter alluded to it, Richard alluded to it. You had 3 of the Irish provinces, Ulster, Connacht, and Leinster, playing against 3. They had Welsh.
Yeah.
Position. The Welsh. Hold on, sorry, we all just reset there. I'll go again. We had so 3 Irish provinces against 3 Welsh teams. We had Dragons, Cardiff, and Scarlets. Welsh rugby club rugby is fucking shite. Their national squad is rebuilding. They're also fucking shite, right? So there was nothing. There was very little opposition to the provinces for the teams they played, right? Connacht came out there, Scarlets, who were once, Jay, you mentioned, you alluded to there, who are once, Scarlets are a very proud rugby club, and they have a lot of history. But Cathal Ford was man of the match. He had a great game. Hawkshaw had a great game. You had to have Peter Dooley, who's been on this show before. You Jack Ainger, who's been on this show before. They had great games. The difference, I tell you what, the fucking difference at the moment is that the Welsh club teams lack is fucking passion. There's none of it. They don't.
No, I disagree.
They go out onto that pitch. I know, Jay. They go out onto that pitch. They might give a shit for about 20 minutes, and then they just fucking turn off. They're like the Italian fucking men's senior side, right? The Italians are a 40-minute team. The Welsh international squad are a 40-minute team. Scotland, Scotland, I'd worry about Scotland. But you have to, you got to play for 80 minutes. The only 80-minute fucking team at senior level at the moment is Ireland. That's it. England can't even fucking manage it. France can't fucking manage it. And if you go back to the question you asked, Mike, about the games, and I know you're going to go on and ask about the Leinster game and all that. There's no fucking point. The Welsh teams, the Welsh provincial teams need something. They don't have it. They haven't had it for a few years. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them.
I can tell you straight away. Pete, you answered your own question. It's fine. When you've got their best player leaving to go to American football for finances, right? There's your example. They've got no... There used to be a time when every Welsh kid would know every single... And we'd be scared of the Welsh team. In the 80s and the 90s, up to the last 10 years, the Welsh team were... You'd know every single one of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You cannot name one Welsh world-class player now. You can't. But you can name a world-class Ireland team. You can name a world-class... Where are these players to look up for? And when they have one, they go and join England. Or they go and do American football.
Yeah,
You've got to keep those players at the clubs so they are bastions of the team. That's what Leinster and Munster and Ulster have done with O'Toole with the contracts today. They're making the youngsters see their heroes on a regular basis. Now, when we start losing our heroes and they're going to join another sport completely, that's where the problem starts. So let's keep the players local in our clubs.
I agree with you 100% there, Jay. You know, I mean,
I don't think the Welsh Rugby Union made an absolute hames of their finances. Like, you know, they've got their different rules as well that has inhibited Gatland from selecting players. Like, you know, what is it, the 50 caps? You have to have over 50 caps if you're playing.
I think they've relaxed that now, though, haven't they? It's 30 caps.
No, it's 25.
Still look, whatever way you dress it up, it's a bullshit rule.
Yeah.
Like you know, there's Welsh players, the number of Welsh players. Tom Francis from I always thought he was kind of fairly kind of average as a prop, Thomas Francis, but he's playing in France. He's nowhere near the Welsh side. There's other countless players. You've Reece Patchell, Prince Harry lookalike, tearing up trees below for the Highlanders. He's on highlight reels with the passes he's thrown, and I didn't realize that he's 30 years of age. I didn't realize he was that old.
The best way to summarise it is
he would walk if he was available. He would walk into that Welsh team because Costello and Lloyd are just not at it. They're two altar boys sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
that's it. They're not men at all, and it's going to be it's going to be a leaning curve for them, and that's why, you know, Gatland has admitted that he didn't realise it was as bad as it was. He obviously he was sold a pup, pig in a poke, you know, by the Welsh Rugby Union, or perhaps he didn't have his eyes open. He got his eyes wiped, but he admitted, and it was very obvious in the Netflix documentary for the last season's one that he was not quite on the races at all with that Welsh team. But he's apparently had a bit of a reset, and now he's ready to give it a proper lash rebuilding the team. But look, you know, it is what it is. Like they've no money, and it's no money has crippled them, but also the fact that their union has absolutely shot themselves in the foot means the Wales are going to be weak for a number of years.
Okay.
Sorry, Mike. There's a comment there. Cardiff won the Challenge Cup in Bilbao when Leinster beat Racing in 2018. So they've won in Europe as recently as an Irish team. I think Jay hit the nail on the head. The WRU need to take the clubs back in-house and out of private ownership and sensory control the players. Sorry, whoever said that, I completely forgot that Cardiff won that. And Jay, you are quite right. There you go.
Right, let's move on to Leinster versus Leinster away to Cardiff. Leinster 33, Cardiff 20.
I thought it was...
Right, Jay, we'll give you this one in Leinster, man.
Yeah, I'll give it quite simply. How long is it before Max Deegan is called up to the Irish squad? I mean, he's just the go-to man. How is he not being put? But then again, I fear for Max Deegan, like Ross Maloney.
Well,
Who's ahead?
if you think about it,
Jake?
because Leinster players start keeping him out of the squad.
Yeah, and that's it. Jamie Osborne looked fantastic coming through. I agree now, obviously, with you, Pete. I think Harry and Ross cannot play together. They looked poor, but they looked individually strong. Jordan Lama, amazing to see him get his 100th cap with a servant to the club, and another one who needs to be in the Irish squad. But watching Cardiff play, I disagree with you, Pete, when you said that the passion's not there. They are passionate, but they're just not tactically or skillfully in the same league as Leinster and the other teams above them. They've got the passion. It's always been there with the Welsh. It's their blood. But they just haven't got either the tactical nous or the knowledge or even the skill class to go to that next level. And as I said, the open question, I think there's only one Welshman that would actually get into the British and Irish Lions team for next year. Whereas previously we won with Gatland's Welsh squad. That's how far they've dropped.
Who's that player, Jay?
It's the captain of Wales. I've forgotten his name now. The little blonde-haired chap.
I think you'd have a few in there. I think Wainwright would possibly get in the squad, and Reffel.
I would have said Reffel myself is the only one.
Yeah,
I'd say Reffel. I'd agree with you, Pete. Yeah, I'd say Reffel is probably the only one who'd get in.
But they
call him.
But they might make a great contribution. Peter Burke, did you manage to watch the Leinster game?
I did, of course. Yeah, for Leinster third team, basically. It was. Yeah, it was a. To be honest with you, I was watching it. Now, normally, if I'm watching Leinster play, I'm fully focused on the game. No phone, no nothing. I might do a comment on the match thread or something like that, but I'm generally just sitting there watching it.
With your Heineken.
Sure. What's it? No, well, I can't remember what time that was at. But anyway, during that game, I had 4 Weetabix, I had a yogurt, and a banana. I made 2 mugs. Made 2 mugs of tea. I had 4 hobnobs and a chocolate finger. Right?
Jesus.
I wouldn't normally do. I'm an awful snacker. I wouldn't do that. Right? Normally, I wouldn't do that. But it was just when you see the team sheets and you see Leinster going out and you just go, look.
I think you're right, Peter. I'm going to have to curtail
Go
my
on.
Keeping it under my hat. What I'm going to say is there was a moment, and I don't want to be it, but I'm getting to be the stage where a Cardiff supporter stood next to me. Don't forget, we were losing at half time. And he was so excited about it. And he looked at me and he went, "This is our moment. This is where we're going to turn heads." And I looked at him and went, "Not with our bench. We'll come on and we'll turn it." Within 4 minutes, we've scored 3 tries. And it's like,
there you go.
We're expecting whatever team we put, our third team, our fourth team, our under 15s. That's the worry for clubs to see that, because they haven't got that depth.
So what's the worry? What are you disagreeing with me about?
I don't want to become arrogant at matches. I don't want to sit there and we'll just turn up and go, we're going to win.
Okay, no.
I want to have that fear factor. I want to be nervous.
Is that because you've got an English accent now?
Just so you know, Peter Burke is actually banned from making predictions in this group. He's not allowed, because every time he does it, it just goes tits up on him.
No, well, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to become arrogant, and that's where it is. I stand there and I go,
No. I'm not being arrogant, Jay. I just thought after my initial thought was, well, it's Cardiff. It's a Welsh team. After 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even after half time, I was going, look, it's only going to go one way. And that's when I had me Weetabix.
You look at the clubs that you've mentioned, the 4 Welsh clubs or the 3 Welsh clubs in question, and it's like most teams now, they have a 20-minute window and then suddenly, be it Ireland, Leinster, or Munster, or even the other teams, they change their game plan to adapt to that 20 minutes of pressure. And you'll see it at the weekend with the internationals. England will have 20 minutes of actual strength, like they did against Scotland, and then suddenly the game changes. The plans that go in, and there's no adaptation. There's no change. There is no plan B or C or D
with the Welsh
teams, and I think also be England this weekend.
I think the other thing that needs to be kept in mind as well is that the Irish teams are fitter than any other team, I'd say, out there. So, and like I just read an article today, it was actually Caelan Doris basically said that he gets a real buzz and he gets a bump of energy, you know, when he sees the likes of James Ryan, Ryan Baird, Jack Conan coming off the bench. Because it's like, here we go. It's like round 2, and look, our big guys are coming on, and now they're going to give the opposition, you know, a piece of their mind. So it's like rugby is such an impact, and it's such an impact sport, physical but also mental. And like, is it any wonder, like, you know, the South Africans have patented their bomb squad. Well, Leinster are kind of, and Ireland are kind of taking a leaf out of that as well. We don't have the out-and-out brute power, but we've big enough guys, but they're bloody skillful.
Yeah.
And I think that's the major difference between the Irish teams, the Welsh teams, even the Scottish teams and the English teams, is that Irish teams are fitter and better skills.
Yeah.
And you be able to put, you know, sub 3 second ruck speed to a bit of power and most importantly skill. It's going to be relentless stuff. Like you just won't pretty much live with it once the execution is there.
I'm going to ask you a question here. I want your expert advice from the four of you. Do you think the way the Irish play with the ruck speed and turning the forward packs consistently, because over the period of time, you look at it, at the 60th minute, you'd have the bomb squads come in from whatever international game it was or whatever game. But the way that Ireland are playing their ruck speed at the moment, they're making substitutions on the opposition are making substitutions on the 50th minute, the 45th minute, because their pack is absolutely worn out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening, and that's exactly what Peter Martin has just alluded to. The fitness of the Irish team is far superior to any of the other teams currently, and that's very, very apparent.
Just want to go back to the Wales game. There was a clip, and it showed. I don't know if you might be aware of it, because it was going around on Twitter, and I think it might have popped up on Facebook as well. It showed the Welsh substitute tight head, Dylan Lewis. And it was a passage play. It was exactly, I think you know the one I'm on about. Yeah, he had to basically go in the space of about 10 meters. He had to make about 4 or 5 tackles, 4 or 5 big hits.
Yeah.
The Irish team, the Irish players were basically moving the ball left to right, right to left, literally within a very small window. So basically, the likes of Wainwright, so when Byrne burst through, Wainwright basically threw the white flag at him. I'm fucked. He couldn't even lift a finger to basically grab his jersey. He was just done, absolutely spent. So, you know what I mean? That just proves the point that, you know, skill level is there, but the fitness is there, and a fit mind, fit body, all that stuff, you know, it's very, very hard to live with, potentially. Yeah. Once the execution is there, it's going very, very hard to live with.
Right. Can we quickly move on to the Ulster 49, Dragons 26? Richard Holland, by any chance, did you get to see any of that?
Didn't see it.
Peter Martin, any?
I actually did see a bit of this just before I came on this evening. I was watching some of the highlights. Young Ulster team, they played probably with as much energy as I've seen in a long time. There was a fair bit of risk being like they were getting the ball to the edges. There was real kind of brio about the way they played. They definitely played like a team that didn't have Dan McFarland in charge. That's for sure. They had a good win. Granted, again against a Welsh team that's the Osprey. Apparently, the Ospreys are absolutely hammered for injuries in their back row, and they lost another player. So that kind of thing doesn't really help matters for Wales. But look, all Ulster could do is play what's in front of them. So look, you know, it was a good win for Ulster, and maybe, you know, the only way is up for them.
Absolutely. Peter Burke, did you see that game at all?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Any?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, Ulster needed to fucking win that. If they didn't win that, they would have been a laughing stock. Put it that way. Like, what was the score? 49-26.
Yeah.
49-26 against a Welsh team, the Dragons. Brilliant. Well done.
How about you, Jay? Did you manage to see that game at all?
No, I was still recovering from the Saturday game. So
Is that Dara Weston's that comment there about Keane Healy?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, Mike. Sorry, Pete. You seen Keane Healy coming on the second half for his 16th Six Nations campaign, and you'd almost get a horn. Imagine how that impacts the opposition, but I think we'll all agree that Ireland can't use the bomb squad phrase for obvious historical reasons. So we need a new name. We need a new name for it.
Can we call it the Semtex squad? Is that...
the Semtex squad. I like it.
You've dropped one
someone
there.
else is hosting. It's like pulling teeth, getting a match analysis edit. All right, okay, fair enough. Right, go on, Mike.
That was Weston as well, by the way.
No, can we go on to this upcoming games this weekend?
Yes,
now,
please.
Mike, we're at an hour, so go on.
Right. Quickly then. Right on Saturday morning, we've got Italy versus Scotland. Any predictions, Richard Holland? What do you reckon?
Scotland will have too much for Italy. It'll be as Jay alluded to. It'll be 20 minutes of Italy absolutely battering Scotland, and then Scotland will just pull away.
Yeah. How about you, Peter Martin? What do you think about this?
I think that could be a slightly entertaining match. I think Italy will give it a lash against Scotland. That could be worth watching, actually. Genuinely worth watching. But, I would say that Scotland probably have a little bit too much. It's going to come down between Wales and Italy for the wooden spoon.
It looks that way, doesn't it?
100%.
Peter Burke, have you any thing to it?
I'd agree with everything that Richard and Pete has just said, and I suspect Jay will say. I'd say Scotland. Look, it'll be a contest for 20 or 30 minutes, and then Scotland just the wing spoofer Van der Merwe will run in a couple of tries.
Finn Russell from out of the match, then, Pete, is it?
It's going to be the game of the what ifs. What if they kick that ball over the post?
Yeah, exactly.
And what if Scotland had got that try, which they should have had? So
well, it was a try.
I think Italy will give Scotland a good game. They will have the belief, obviously, from the French, and that's what they need. They need that belief. You can see they've got the players. They just haven't got the belief.
They're a young team too.
Yeah, and I think last
season
there could be a
Murrayfield.
surprise on this one. I'm not going to predict because I don't do predictions, but I think it'll be closer than we think.
Last year, Italy pushed Scotland right to the like late in the second half at Murrayfield. So I'd be hopeful that Italy could give them a game anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Wales versus France at Cardiff on Sunday. I'm going to leave the Ireland game for last. Peter Burke, what do you reckon?
It's horrible to think.
Italy against France. Sorry, what?
Wales versus France.
Wales against France.
Yeah.
Oh God. That is a very interesting. That actually could be the game of the weekend. But Jesus. But look, hold on. Both teams are playing shite at the moment, right? France aren't at the races. Either are Wales. This could be. I don't know. Jesus. If you're asking me for a winner, I know I'm not allowed to do predictions.
Go ahead.
You are allowed.
Yeah, I know, but I always get full.
I think it could be Sean Edwards' last game for France as well. I think he'll come back to Wales.
Actually, where? Sorry,
That'd be his last game too.
It is in Cardiff.
It's in Cardiff. It's in Cardiff.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
No, France are going to be missing Dante. He was sent off. Jelly Bear is injured as well, so he's not going to play. So Ramos is going to be going to fly half.
10, yeah.
I'll go
10.
France. I'll go France. I'll go France by 2 scores.
Okay. Yeah. Jay, what do you reckon then?
I think Sean Edwards obviously getting the stick in the French press will make him want to come back to Wales and be resurrection their team. But I think France are going to have too much strength for the Welsh. And I'm going to say it now, I don't think Italy will get the wooden spoon.
Okay. Fair enough. Richard?
Yeah, I can't say any other winner than France in this one, I'll be honest with you. I know both teams are playing with no confidence, and France are down to their bare bones at 9 and 10, but I still think they'll have too much for Wales.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Peter Martin, what do you reckon?
Well, the rumour is Meafu of Toulouse is going to make his debut for France. Galtier is still persistent with that front row that's just not performing for Wales at all. Movaka apparently Marchand is coming in at hooker, but Antonio and Bai are the other front row, and Leo Barre or Bar, whatever his name is going to get capped at fullback. I saw that on Twitter earlier on today, but I think it could be like, I think Wales or France are playing without any bit of confidence. They're so badly missing Dupont. It's unbelievable. They really have been kind of exposed as being a one player team. I think Galtier is in serious trouble. He could be. I reckon he's like Bernard Jackman even believes that he could be sacked at the end of the term. 100%. I think he's gone.
Yeah.
And because he's there long enough, the mission to bring the trophy home to Paris didn't happen there for the World Cup. I'd say you'll see a clear out of at the top with the French national team, but I do think they'll probably have enough for to beat Wales in Cardiff.
Yeah, it looks almost as if France have just gone completely into free fall. I mean, could it be possible like to have such a hangover from the World Cup? It probably could in their part because they actually expected to win it in their own country, and it's almost been unacceptable. They've seen it as unacceptable that they didn't. And,
well, you saw what they did, Mike. They basically moved heaven and earth to get Dupont after he fractured his cheekbone against, was it Namibia?
Yeah.
They moved heaven and earth to get him back fit.
Yeah,
because they knew that's and like by Christ, like it really has kind of shown that they're nothing without him. They really are nothing without him. Well,
they've got one more, or they've got a chance on Sunday to prove us all wrong. But I don't see any major thing happening there. Right, let's move on to our game, guys. England versus Ireland, Twickenham, Saturday afternoon, 4:45. Peter Burke, what do you reckon? What are we going to do?
This is
he's thinking about the Weetabix already.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the Weetabix. Yeah, I think. Look, I mean, if you call a spade a spade. If you want to go in current form, we should beat England. We should beat them by 10, 12, 14 points, right? If you want to go in current form, England aren't at the races at the moment. They're like France. Your man Borthwick, I think shouldn't be there. I think Borthwick is fucking clueless. He's playing players. Yeah, he's spoofer. Yeah, I think he's playing players in the wrong position. I think he's working. In fairness to him, I think he's trying to work certain positions out. I think there's a certain Gatland-esque with what Gatland is trying to do with Wales. I think Borthwick is trying to do with England, get the best players into the best positions. I don't think Borthwick knows who those players are yet, which is fair enough. Every team goes through that transition. Twickenham is never an easy place to go to play. But I do think that I think our 1-8 will certainly beat up their 1-8, and I think that's where the game will be won. I just don't think England are at the races at the moment. I don't think they realise they're not at the races at the moment. So I think, look, I hate doing this. We should win. We should win. We should win. But if you're looking at facts, stats, performance, we should beat them. There you
go. Before I leave you, Peter, Hugo Keenan and Gary Ringrose are fit to play again. Will one or both of them come straight back in, or will they be both in the 23 at least? And will we go for a 6-2 or a 5-3 split?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Yeah.
Sorry. I beg your pardon, Mike. No, the only player who comes straight back in is Keenan. What Andy Farrell has to decide now, and this is going to be key, because we are in a unique position that I don't think we've been in before. You know, do you drop Ringrose? When the fucking hell did that happen before? Do you keep Henshaw? Do you start Aki? Well, you start Aki, certainly. Look, I don't know. I mean, I would say, and then you've got the Frawley conundrum. Like, if you go 6-2, you're going to have Frawley on the bench. If you go 5-3, you'll have Ringrose and Frawley on the bench. And it's as simple as that. That's what he has to do. But go on, someone else.
Joe, what do you reckon on this?
Joe?
Ireland and, Jay.
Elliot Daly has basically said they know the tactics and how they're going to play us, and we all know their tactics. It's going to be hoofball. It's going to be George Ford kicking the ball and taking every penalty and every kick that they get a chance. There'll be a couple of drop goal attempts as well. We've got to keep our discipline. It's Ireland's to lose if they lose their discipline and line-outs. If they lose their line-outs, again, like it was starting to wobble against Wales, England will seize on it. If they start giving penalties away like they did against Wales, George Ford will start kicking the game, and it'll be 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. They haven't got a blitzer defence because it's so poor. So they're going to try and do exactly the same as the Welsh. We'll win only if we make sure that we win our line-outs and don't give away silly mistakes. Penalties.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Richard Holland, what do you reckon about our game?
Look, going to Twickenham is never easy. We know that you're going to get a game there, no matter what, no matter how poor that England team is playing. But that being said, I think from 1 to 15 and from even 1 to 23, we're just better all over the park. So, as Jay said, it's going to come down to discipline. It's going to come down to game management and how we play. I think we'll have too much for them in attack. This splits defence that England are trying to play, I don't think they have the players for it. I'll be honest with you. Maybe in a couple of years when they get their starting 15 down and they know what they want to do. But yeah, I can't see anything other than an Irish win. Probably by 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. Peter Martin, anything? What do you reckon?
Well, what I would say is this: where England will go after Ireland will be at scrum time. They'll try and have a go at Porter, even though we know that they've did it before. They'll try and do it again. I think the referee will have to basically be the pictures Ireland paint at scrum time will have to be a little bit clearer for Amashekeli to be certain as regards what's going on there. I think they'll go after our line out. I think England are going to bring a very physical approach. Where they're going to try and score points from, as Jay alluded to, is England are very good at squeezing penalties. So play a pressure game, try and basically force penalties, around the ruck, the maul, the scrum, all that kind of stuff. And they will kick every point they can get. So if Ireland manage to be miserable when it comes to discipline, Joe Schmidt era levels of discipline in our own half, England will starve because they don't have the means really to score tries. Where England will suffer and where Ireland will gain is they haven't a clue what they're doing at 10, 12 and 13. And England haven't had that, they haven't known since Eddie Jones. Eddie Jones didn't know his best combination there either, You see Stuart Barnes basically in all his years of supposed knowledge deciding, if he was picking the England team in the morning, he'd put Ben Earl at 12. Holy fucking jumping Jesus, what is he at? The only thing you can say is that if Borthwick did have a brain fart and decide to pick someone decide to put the 12 jersey on Earl's back, our boys are going to laugh at him and lap it all up because they'll go through him and around him.
Fucking Pontiac, he'll just laugh. He's as big as he is.
Well, this is it. You see, we're a more settled side. We bring so much more to the table. If the game is sloppy and messy, England will stay in the fight. They'll get their confidence. They'll kick their penalties, and we'll be scruffy and so on. If we basically know exactly I think Farrell is just second to none almost now at this stage. He's approaching that level as regards preparation. Once if we have our tidy scrum and we have our line out tidy, we get enough ball. It's going to be a long bloody day for England.
Yeah, there's an indication. By the way,
we're too slick, we're too refined. We have the best attack in the world. England's defense is still coming together in bits. So
there is an actual indication that Marcus Smith's going to start on Saturday.
He is.
I don't care if they bring fucking Maggie Smith.
Who gives a fuck?
I know. I'm just saying though, it's
anyway, Mike. Go on. Go on. We're
it's
overtime.
Just a slightly different ball. Okay,
red cards. That's the other thing I'm concerned about. Red cards. There's been 4 in the last 4 games.
Well, discipline.
3 for England, 1 for us.
Yeah.
So it's back to the discipline, and we need obviously Andy Porter to be shackled because we can't have him throwing any more boots to the Guinness factory anymore. So
no, I think O'Mahony has kind of got a grip of what his scrummaging technique. You can see O'Mahony is pushing him back in. He's keeping him because he's preventing him. He did in the Wales game. He's stopping him from boring in going in 45 degrees. But I watched that Bailly scrummaging for France last week, and he's the very same. They all do. All the loose heads fucking go in at an angle. He's just New Zealand highlighted Porter's scrummaging technique at the World Cup, and it's fucking cost us. It cost us in that game, and it's cost us.
Porter was basically mooning the touchline.
Yeah. But he's no different to any other loosehead. Genge is fucking dreadful for it, and he's just been highlighted. Maybe we need to start going to the referee and pleading before the game. Keep an eye on this. That's what I was saying,
Mike. That's what I was saying, is that the first 1 or 2 scrums are going to be crucial. The pictures that we paint for Amashekeli, the Georgian referee.
Yeah.
Because
as long as Ben Earls keeps celebrating the opening of envelope and missing opportunities like tap-ons and run-ins and etc. I mean, he'll celebrate anything, opening of the curtains does Ben Earls. So
right, folks. I tell you what. We are way over time.
So we are.
So I'm just going to read one last comment here. Listening to some of the English podcasts, it's clear England's tactics are to park the bus, play a kicking game, and target the set piece. Same old. I predict a 41-12 scoreline. Right, Mike, I'll leave it up to you to sign off.
Well, lads, thank you each and all of you for a nice good evening. Mr. Burke, thank you, Jay, and welcome on board for our podcast. Peter Martin and Richard Holland, thank you all very much, and good night to you.
Thank you all.
All the best.
And enjoy the games at the weekend, guys. And come on, Ireland.
Good night, Mike. Thanks a million, buddy.